Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all watching the worldwide DATV Net today. We have quite a list on, so that's very, very nice to see more people join in again. Our summer's about to start. As you can see, I've had a lot of sunburn trying to repair a pool. Anyway, it has repaired, so all good. Now I can tomorrow close up the ditch. Anyway, as per usual, we wish to thank the BATC, and I know they have a rally today, and hopefully they might even join us for all we know. And we wish to thank the AMSAT DL team, and the AMSAT UK team, and of course the Qatar satellite company for allowing us the opportunity to run on their satellite and share a part of their satellite. For that we are eternally grateful. On the list today, I'll be giving a bit of a discussion on the CubeSat space frame development, which we've done under my nephew. He's ZR6YI. He helped do some of the CAD, and we had to design the first one, and then there's a new one that we're busy with at this moment. It was actually starting to cut on Friday, but I thought I'll just run through so that you can see what's involved to develop the space frame for the QO-100. For the the LEO satellites, the little CubeSats. Right, next will be Mike, G0MJW, followed by G8KOE Martin, and then all the way down to Brazil, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November, and back to Worcester in the Cape, South Africa, ZS1 Mike Leon, and then all the way up to the Netherlands, Papa Alpha 3 Fox Bravo X-Ray, and then to Phil in the UK, Mike 0 Papa India Tango. So that's the list for the time being, and whoever wants to join, you're more than welcome. Just click on the bottom of the list, and we'll be happy to have you. I just want to see if there's anyone else registering on the BATC site. Okay, that was Benno. And hello to Adam. Adam, I don't know if you're going to come in, but you're more than welcome to, of course. And hey, Mike, old and grumpy. I see the Scots want to make that illegal. Anyway. Right, I think the next on the list is Mike. Will you take it? G0 Mike Juliet Whiskey and the group from Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India.
Okay, thank you, Guy. Sorry for the noises off. I'm doing some 3D printing, which I'll show you in a minute. I was expecting you to talk about CubeSats, but maybe you'll do that on the next round. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Good signals so far, the people who've been putting them in that I've seen, so all okay. I've been away. Last week was Cat 23. And I'm sure there was something the week before that as well, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I've been up north, and I've got back from the north, and I should have gone to the rally today in the Hamfest in Woolwich in Dorset, but it's 80 miles from here. Not a fun trip, and also it was raining here, so I decided not to go. I don't know if it's rained there or not. They always say it doesn't, but you never know, do you? Right, anyway, without further ado, I'll start showing some things. So this horribly coloured device, this is a prototype for this, which is the LTEC, turn it like that, right way up, LTEC controller. PCB's arrived now and has been assembled, so I'm just printing a box for it. This controls the LTEC power supplies, which some people have, for driving linear amplifiers, etc. And that, of course, goes in the box. so. Now the other thing is this, so all the bits have turned up for this now, and that's finished. So just looking for somewhere to publish that. This is the relay control board. It's now universal, will work with all sorts of different devices, and I will get to the Aurora camera. Oops, let me just put that on, there we go. Give you a better view of that. Now, ooh, and that thing stood up on top of itself, but we'll soon fix that. Give you an idea. Now I would have done it in RADCOM, but unfortunately the OSGB require the rights to all the things they publish, and I want to be able to show it to other people and put it on the website, so it's not going to go in RADCOM. So I'll have to think about somewhere else to put it. BATC, CQTV maybe, or AMSAT, or maybe I'll just put it on the web. Might be the easiest thing to do with the Gerbers and the software. But that's all working. And the other thing is, hence the noise is off, is to do with this. So this is just 3D printing a new box. So the prototype that I just showed you was okay, but as always with the prototype there can be some improvements made, and they've been done, so that's what that is. So that's printing. It's a very, very long print there. The printer's quite slow, but also it's tall, and it seems to take a long time to do anything tall with a 3D printer, but there we go. The other thing that turned up, and I have to go back to the other camera, so let me just set that up. And show you this. This turned up. It's a new Pi, and I don't know, not a new Pi, sorry, a new Arduino, and it's got Wi-Fi on it. So Arduinos I use quite a lot, Nanos mostly, but this is a new one. It's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, a bit more memory, a bit more I/O, and this curious, and I don't know why this is on here, given it's a development board, because you're not going to use it, but it's got this curious array of LEDs. I guess maybe it's fun for people developing programs or debugging or something like that, whatever. But there you go. So I've not experimented with that yet. That's the default program that it comes with, but it looks like it'll be quite useful for doing things like measuring power or controlling stuff. The other thing is, at long last they come with a thing to mount them on. It's always a pain to try and mount an Arduino, but they still haven't fixed the broken pin spacing. They made that error a long time ago, and I guess they won't fix it. Also, the holes aren't in a sensible arrangement either. So there you go. Okay, I think that's it, and it's got to go over to Martin. So G8KOE. Just checking if there aren't any questions for me, by the way. No, there aren't. So around to you, Martin. G8KOE G0MJW.
Right, they're fine there, Mike. Very good. I wish I had something to show. Let's make sure I've got a bit of sound. Yeah, it's I've done nothing really other than since last week. I'm amazed how quickly the week seems to go. I've been tidying up the garage and clearing out loads of bits and pieces that have just accumulated, bits of metal and all sorts of things. And I should be taking a box of old electronic bits and pieces, shall we say. Some of the bits are quite good, but I should never make use of them. Things like an old sat-nav that works, but I used to have it in the kit car, but now is destined to go somewhere else. I don't have the ability to reprogram or make use of lots of bits and pieces, so it's just going to sit there otherwise. I think the only other thing I've been playing with, for those that have got an SDR Play, they've brought out new software, or previous software, shall we say, which, let's go to a screen. I'm not going to demonstrate very much. It's called SDR Connect. That's roughly what it looks like. But really, the main thing on it is that it's multi-platform. So you can actually run it on a Raspberry Pi 4, a Linux machine or whatever, and you can set it up as a server and log into it, etc. remotely. So it's made very simple. Lots of buttons and things to, but it's if anyone that knows the software they used to use was quite complex, and this has been streamlined somewhat. Still in its early days, but there's the multi-platform side of things that it will run, which I think is quite good. Let's go back to me. He says, that's all I've been playing with really, is in between sorting things out in the garage, which just seems to take for ages, going through boxes of bits and pieces and think, shall I keep this? Shall I not? So in the end, I got sort of quite ruthless and thrown it away. So that's really all I can add at this sort of point. I was hoping to be further down the net so as I could comment on other people's, but yeah, fine on your the printer there, 3D printer. They always fascinate me, but I know I'd never make use of one. I can see all this dyslexic images coming out. Boxes are the wrong way round, etc. But anyway, I was going to comment on something else, but I can't remember. So I'll pass it on to Ed. Oh, music, that's right. Ed, your music was quite loud. And yeah, I go back to more heavy stuff, Hendrix and co was my sort of music. But anyway, on that note, I'll pass it over to you there, Ed. I'll put a test card up, and perhaps you've been doing some exciting things, unlike me, just tidying the garage. From GHKE.
Stand by, stand by. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand?
All right. Thank you, Martin. Golf 0, I'm in Golf 8 Kilo Oscar Echo Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. I kind of using a little more power because I got some issues decoding Mike and Martin. I'm not sure. It's not raining, but very windy here, very windy, and we have some clouds. It doesn't appear to be heavy clouds, but I don't know, something is affecting my reception here on 10 gig, I believe. And but my own reception seems okay. I don't know. All right, guys, nice to see you all again on the Worldwide DATV Net. Hello to Gary, Mike, Martin, Leon, Beno, and Phil, and everybody else may be watching. It's been not very productive week regarding amateur radio here for me, but working on something. It's a well-known amplifier for me and Gary and probably Leon, which is the Saro amplifier. It's a long time. It's staying in the drawer and in the drawer, and I just get it to replace as instructions per Gary and Leon to replace the resistors here and make adjustments for the bias on the Saro's BIOS control board. Still need to finish it. Yeah, put operational. I just forgot, Gary, that the 5 volts is provided by this step down converter. I was confused about this RCA female plug. I said, what is that? Should I put here the 5 volts? But I believe Saro did that for external PTT control, so that's an external 5 volts source. But actually, the 5 volts will come out from this step down converter. I think I remember that. He told me that, but it was a long time ago, and I totally forgot. It's about that. I mean, that's doing just that and making some tests on the DATV Easy, which seems is flickering a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's my reception, which is not 100% here. All right, guys. So sending back to Leon, Zulu Sierra 1 Mike. Please go ahead, Leon. This is Papa Yankee 2 Radio November with the Worldwide DATV Net.
Okay. Thanks, Ed. I hope I'm making enough power so that you can read me. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whoever is listening and watching. And I hope my friend Louis, somewhere in the Free State, I think he lives. I've forgotten his call sign. I sent him a message where he can stream. Gary, the thing that you sent earlier today, I forwarded that. Let me just go and switch off that radio. Sorry about that. I'm listening to on the airband, and the inverter is making a noise on the airband because we had load shedding. The power's come back since, but the inverter is still running. Okay, so Louis, he's been a ham for many years, but I can't get him as far as coming back onto the air. You know, he works with old steam engines and old stationary petrol engines and diesel engines and all sorts of things, and restoring vintage tractors and so on. Anyway, okay, Gary, right, you fixed the pool. Gee whiz, you say you had to dig a trench. I wonder what that was for. So it wasn't the pool, it was probably the pipes going to and from the pump or something, I don't know. And okay, Mike, hello to you. See, you are quite busy with Arduino stuff there, eh? All sorts of things. I haven't seen that new one that you showed there with Bluetooth and all that stuff. I've just drawn up. I'm going to make the board today a little shield for the Uno, so you can plug a tiny straight onto it. So it's a direct shield for programming the Atani with the Uno. I'm using the Atanis a lot now on the transmitters I'm building for the Air Force, and that's the easiest way to address that ADF 4351 or whatever the thing is, that little synthesizer. Yeah, I'm just after this net probably. I'll quickly make. I've already drawn the master, so yeah, the pin spacing is quite weird, eh? on that Uno. You have to be very careful, but I figured it out and I've drawn it that way, and I've checked it with another shield on the printout, and it seems to fit. So I guess the board will be okay. And then just a little 8-pin socket in the center. And I've added another few lines, which is the output to the synthesizer, so I can on the fly change the frequencies in the program and check it with a frequency counter on the synthesizer, because I'm not doing those long calculations to calculate the frequency for that synthesizer. It's too complicated. So I know it must be on zero, what, line 0 or whatever, register 0. That's where you fiddle with the bits to change the frequency, and I just monitor it with a counter. Okay, right. Ed. No, Martin first. Martin is sorting stuff out in the garage. I wish I could be a fly on the wall there to see what you're chucking out. It's always interesting to see another guy's junk. Ed, unfortunately, I just started to read your cartoon when I realized I've only started OBS. I haven't started the other thing and the Pluto and all that stuff. So I quickly had to do that. So yeah, I missed your cartoon. Maybe you put it on later again as your signing off test card or something. I'll appreciate that. But a nice signal from you, Ed. There's nothing wrong with your transmission. So I hope you can receive me. Right. I like to experiment, as you guys probably know. So yesterday I did a thing, and today I improved on it. I took that lens. It's part of an old camera lens. It's just the first element, so the specs that you see on the lens are not true for that, because that's just a single element. And it's not big, as you can see on the Matchbox. I fixed that with 2 small bits of double-sided tape onto the cell phone camera, and took a few close-up, very, very close-up pictures of tiny, very tiny objects. Like, for instance, there. Yeah, everything is upside down with this freaking phone of me. I always have it upside down, and I must still figure out which. I thought that Irfan view would enable you to turn it around, but when you get the final file and you put it in OBS, it's still upside down, so I've given up. But that little flower is probably 3 millimeters in diameter. It's just weeds. It's all just weeds. I like photographing things like that because people never see it. They tramp on it and it's just weeds. But some of those things are really, really pretty little flowers. That's another one. It's a tiny, tiny blue flower. It's a weed. I've taken lots of them. The problem with this now is you've got very, very little depth of field, and with the cell phone you can't change the aperture. If I was using one of my proper cameras, I would close down on the aperture and back off on the shutter to get the proper exposure, but with better depth of field. So yeah, it's not and of course it's much sharper, the pictures, when I look at it on the phone. Through the OBS business we lose a bit. So that's another thing. There's another tiny little flower, very, very tiny. It's also a weed, but a pretty little flower. You can see the pollen sitting on the leaves there. And what do I have next? Wrong. There. That's one. It's also upside down. That is a little fly sitting on a leaf. That is about a quarter of the length of a standard house fly. A tiny, tiny fly, and on the real picture you can clearly see the hair on its back and so on. Not so really so visible. Look at the shadow of the wings on the leaf. But yeah, pity, everything upside down. I must find a way. As you guys know, I'm computer illiterate. Right, that's it from me and my cell phone macro photography. Okay, Benno, I give it to you. Papa Alpha 3 Fox Bravo X-ray for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester.
Hi guys, nice to see you all. Still active. Was very busy, especially on the Sunday afternoon. All Sundays were filled with all kind of obligations. But today I found a little bit time, and I planned to be here at 4 o'clock local time. Still active and did a lot of projects in the last few weeks. I think even over a month I haven't checked in on the Sunday afternoon. So that's a pity. So what am I up to? Well, first of all, 3D prints. It's not always a success story. I got a 3D printer and printed this cabinet, this box. I printed it three times, I believe. And every time after so much hours, 10, 12 hours, I get this, and it's completely skewed. The bottom is not straight, and it comes off the bat. So I'm still struggling with that. Printing small stuff is easy, straightforward, but a real cabinet like this gives me a headache, Mike. So still things to learn. I actually had to buy a decent bottle of isopropyl alcohol to... sorry. Yeah, wrong camera. Thank you for the warning. Well, this is the box I was talking about, and you can see clearly it's skew. It's straight on this part, but the bottom came off the bat and then made a worthless part after about 10 hours of printing, or 12 hours of printing this was. So clean the bed with and spray it with 3M mounting, photo mounting spray, so you get some glue on there. That's an idea, because I haven't done that. I bought a brand new bottle of isopropyl alcohol, 90-something%, so I think I will be able to clean at least my bed better. But a bigger thing gets this kind of problem, and I have done some other tries from other projects as well, and I stopped it with it by now because it took me too long. This was another project, and people who recognize it, it's QRP Labs It's the QDX of QRP Labs, which is a 5-band digital transceiver, and this is the high band one, and I have one nice in the box now, which is the low band, and I've been playing with those two. Well, this one I blew quite thoroughly, and it's very bad protected, I would say. First of all, there's no fuse whatsoever, which is a very pity, because you will blow out eventually the finals, which are for FETs BS170, and if you blow them, you might get the 12-volt power supply to the driver, which is a IC on the back, and if you took that one out, it will put the 12-volt on the 3.3 volt, and then you have a really dead board. Even my processor is down, so I think this one is crap. It's really down. I have tested it and measured it, and it all comes back to just one fuse of something like if you have a fuse in there like 500 milliamps or something, or it would solve the whole problem. Or maybe on the 5-volt a Zener diode would also solve a lot of problems, because in the end that's what happens in my case. Well, anyway, this one is crap. It's 70 euros, but I bought another one because I also wanted the low bands. So this is 160 to 20 meters, and this was 20 meters and up. And it's pretty nice, because you just connect it to a Raspberry and play WSTX on it, and you have a very small portable station, FT8 station for HF. And obviously I was using it for my multi-transceiver, as I needed something on the second display. And playing with FT8, I found that I need obviously some reference for time. So I needed NTP, and you can use it obviously online, but I'm planning for mobile, so I don't have NTP mobile. So I thought I need something like this, and I was thinking about building it. This is an NTP server. So you connect it to a satellite, to a GPS mouse, connect it, and then you have NTP on this one. So you connect that one to your local network, and then you have NTP, which is handy. But as everything is in this life, sometimes something too good to be true is good to be true. It works, and I actually have it working now, but it's Chinese. Sorry. So this is my time server, and it works pretty nice, but you need you need to speak Chinese or use Google Lens, and I took about a week to get the software running, to get it in the right time zone, because that's basically the only thing I needed to do. It was finding the satellites perfectly. It was on the right network. I could see the address. It's all on the display, on the OLED display here. And but it obviously was in the wrong time zone. So I needed to put it in the right time zone, and that's why I needed some controlling software. And it's all in Chinese, and reading it is, well, not my strong point, I would say. So what else I was doing, using over the last weekend, yesterday evening better, the Parasites meteor scatter was passing the Earth, and I was looking and heard that on the DATV they made some streams available. So on the forum you can find in the stream section all about the meteor scatter receivers which are available, which is a nice story from Dave. And you can see this is live from the meteor station, receiving station in Devon, and you can follow how it is received there. So I thought I could do that. Wrong camera. I need someone to organize my camera. Hi Mike. So this is the live stream from Devon on the DATV, and you can see on 50 meters, sorry, on 50 megahertz on 6 meters, you can see a signal, and if it is reflected by something like an airplane or like a meteor, you will get all kind of glitches in the stream here, which is neat. And actually Dave made a nice story about that on the DATV forum in the streaming section. So just have a look there. And I thought, hey, I can do that also because I have many receivers here. So I thought, let's do that myself. And I found some Dutch station and even Belgium, a 6 meter station which I can receive. But I wasn't capable in producing a similar image. And I've compared 2 days with, and this is, by the way, the cameras from Dwingelo satellite, 50 megahertz. And actually, if you zoom in there, but I haven't, well, let me zoom in. So you can see it there. This is the Dutch receiving, and but I haven't seen anything there, and I haven't seen anything on my own receiver using SDR console. So I am still playing with that, and that is what I was doing over the last few days. Well, that's the whole story. At very nice amplifier. I have a few of, I don't have one from Xaro, but I have a few of myself still here on the shelf, waiting till I need it. But apparently my my amplifier still works, and I don't need another one. Hi. Well, that's all for now. Leon, nice pictures. It's nice to see the micro world through a small camera. Let me put my face back in there. It's nice to see the micro world to a magnification, and I'm using my my camera also occasionally for that. But yes, you need that special lens. They actually you can buy them many on eBay, which are meant to do just that, what you're doing it. But you have obviously those kind of stuff enough lying in your drawers. Well, that's, I think, covers the most of it. Passing it on to PIT, M0 PIT from Papa Alpha 3 Foxtrot Bravo X-Ray. Let's put a test card on.
I hope the audio works. Yep, the audio works. Good afternoon, everybody. Gary, Martin, Peter, Leon, Ed. Hang on, my screen slipped. I wonder why. I got myself coming back, which is driving me scatty. Let's do that. Yeah, sorry. Gary, Martin, Mike, Ed, Leon, Benno. Yeah, I've been up to my eyeballs this week. But first things first. Leon, the photos. Very nice photos. Funny enough, a friend of mine last week, I think, he's coming up to 90, and his eyesight's not as good as it was. And what he showed me was virtually the same as yours, but it was in a plastic holder, and he put it on the front of his phone, and he was able to actually look at print on his phone. So it was sort of like a magnifying glass. But he had something very similar, but it wasn't that expensive, but it was in a plastic mount, so you could put it on your phone. Benno, the old 3D printing, yeah. I think everybody's got a 3D printer. We've all got our own recipes for how we managed to get the plastic to stick to the bed. One time I used to use PVA glue, which was diluted down to about 10 to 1 or something like that. And that was actually very successful. However, the bed that I was using was a glass bed. Is it beryllium glass, whatever they call it? I don't know. High temperature glass. And on 3 occasions, when I tried to get the object off the bed, the PVA had stuck it so strong that it actually delaminated the glass. So after 3 sheets of glass being delaminated, I decided that there was something else I should try. And I ended up with using, I think it's waterproof masking tape, it's the blue stuff. And my last half a dozen prints I've used that, and I found that quite successful. But yeah, there's all sorts of concoctions that people have used. You go on YouTube, you'll see all these different concoctions. Certainly the one thing that I have not tried, and I know it's very difficult, is what is it? It's the one that ABS. ABS is very, very difficult to print because it would warp if the temperature as it cools down, and it starts to warp and it'll pull off the bed. And that's why people have enclosures around their 3D printers. I don't have that luxury, so I've never ever attempted to print ABS. What have I been up to? Well, I've been working on the Linux version of DATV Not So Easy. I've been talking to Michael, DL50CD. I think it's CD, or was it LD? I'm not sure. But I've been talking to him about streaming RTMP from OBS into Not So Easy. Because it's what I do. I don't use virtual cameras, I just use RTMP straight out of OBS into my little script. So I show him I sent on an email, so I sent my FFmpeg script over to him, and he's developed a beta version of the RTMP script in Not So Easy. So I've been trying that. It's in its early days. Yes, there is some. It does work, but it doesn't work as good as what it should do. But I'm sure after a few more attempts or whatever, we'll get to the point where it's actually acceptable and actually be usable. But while I was doing that, I actually realised that there was an error in my script. Not that it seemed to make any difference, but there was an error in there, which gives me, the idea is that it gives me control over the minimum null packets, so that things don't overrun and it runs out of bandwidth. And I realised that my code that I'd written was actually incorrect. So I've rewritten the code today, or altered it. Not much, only 2 lines. Altered it, and I've tried it, and it's now causing me problems. So yeah, so I need to do some more work on that. But what I've been doing is I needed, it's not so easy, I needed a graphics card with a accelerator on, and I've only got one, and that's on my OBS machine, and no way am I going to start playing around with code on what I would call a live machine. So before I came on the net, my PC had that in it, which is another hard drive, and that was what I've got the operating system on, and Not So Easy, so I've been mucking around with that. So I'm not going to muck up my OBS machine. The funny thing was that when I went back to the hard drives, took this out, went back to the hard drives in my OBS machine and powered it up from cold, I was very surprised to find that my lip sync had gone out. So it had gone out from something like 300 milliseconds, and I think it's up to about 8 now. And I can't understand why, because none of the hardware has changed. But, yeah, so that's a bit of an anomaly. And the only other thing that I've been doing very early on in the week, don't know if you can see it, but that's a ProLiant server. And the idea of that is to put H.266 on it. Haven't succeeded yet, purely because I've run out of time. But yeah, it only cost me, I think it cost me about 50 quid. And it's a ProLiant dual processor. And it's got something like about 32 cores in it. So I'm hoping that that will be powerful enough for me to run H.266. Well, I think that's enough of me waffling on. I'm only going to make this my one over today. I want to get back to do some testing, but I shall carry on listening to everybody. So this is M0PIT. I'm going to put up the test card and I'm going to hand it back to Gary. So let's fly me test card.
Okay, very good there, Phil. I just want to quickly welcome the guys on YouTube as well. As usual, Peter DK3 Zulu Foxtrot, also known as OE6 Delta Zulu Foxtrot or Alpha Delta Zero Radio Foxtrot. Many licenses. And to Tito, Papa Uniform 2 Oscar Zulu Kilo. Those are the 2 guys that have sent, and Nigel, of course, our dear friend Nigel. He's busy working on his amplifier. Firstly, I just want to run through these things, and I'll give you the work we've been doing on the CubeSat space frame. Firstly, Mike, yeah, nice box. And of course, the black one going on is going to look very good. And you were certainly missed, so welcome back, indeed. And Yeah, that Adreno, I saw something about it just this week actually, so I'm surprised you've already got one. But what I did rather than that, last week I got one of these things. I just want to see if this is picking it up. One of these, and man, it's a fantastic little thing. It's as powerful as any computer, any, why is it not focusing? Anyway, that's a size, but it's a 64-bit unit. It's got HDMI out and can work directly into your network. And it's got other little ports all over the show. Oops. There we go. And yeah, it's got 64 gig of memory of RAM, so it's very, very, very useful. And it's the, what do they call this thing now? It's the 5. Let's see if I can get that to focus. There we go. The i5. So it's not too bad, and it's in the hand. And it comes with its own power supply, so you can do a heck of a lot. Just add your keyboard. It's got Wi-Fi, the whole story, and away you go. Right, just quickly to recap on what we've seen here. Old man's, let me just see. Yeah, we're looking for people that are doing A1 tests. I know there's a couple of guys in the UK doing that. And if we can get some information on who's doing A1 tests on, is it not H.265, but the newer one, I believe it's very good. And then Ed on the Saro amp, yes, I didn't quite understand the question yesterday, but I see what you mean. Yeah, the 5 volt is there, and that little plug is the PTT to ground, so that calls the relay to come, and away you go. Leon, those flowers are absolutely magnificent. The detail, you can see the slightest, tiniest hair. Even on the flyer, you could, the shadow, everything's perfect there. So well done on that macro lens on the camera. And then Benno, yeah, it's a pity the box decided to go like a banana. We use hairspray sometimes, but we've got a heated base, an aluminium base, and we can control the temperature, and that makes a big difference to that type of warping. But it is a mess around and play around until you've got it sorted, and of course do keep the temperature of the whole unit controlled with, we use like a Perspex shield all around it. Then also nice on those HF digital transmitters, and also good on the meteor scatter. And Phil, yeah, it looks like you have been very busy. You're a brave guy to start doing that, but yeah, I agree. Don't touch your OBS. That will be a disaster. All right, let's now quickly get to what I've been messing with this last week or two. I just want to get the actual... This is the CubeSat. Let me just start it up for you guys. And there we go. Right. It's only 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters, so it's not very big at all. Now, it's the frame that we've designed, and this frame has to adhere to about 100 pages of notes on what the rules and regulations are, even to the type of aluminium that you use, the duralium, what sizes and how it must fit and how it must eject. So we've got a whole bunch of circuits, PC board designs, and we had to make sure that everything fits in. So what we do is we first draw up the CAD, and if I can do it that way, that's the drawings. We make a rough drawing, and that is a rough drawing, to be quite fair. Make a rough drawing of what we intend to do, and then we've got to make sure that this all interfaces with the other boards. And then we make a, why didn't that go? Okay. We make a bit of a rendering, and we'll come to the renderings in a moment, because we've got to make the thing, in our minds or on our computer screen as accurately as what we can before we start cutting the very expensive material. So we do renderings, we do the drawings, we render, we check sizes. We haven't put the sizes on here now, just to give the concept what the guys do in the boards, you see. So we have to work in collaboration with these fellows doing the different electronics into this frame. And then we go with different angles so that they can see exactly where we might have a little pillar that might interfere, where we're going to put screws, etc., because they have to also design around that. Although we do start off with them designing their PC board, and we try and work around that, provided the space fits. Sometimes they have to shave a fraction of a polony skin off their boards, otherwise it won't fit. Anyway, just a couple of renderings that we do so that the guys can see what we're envisaging. And then when we get buy-in, like that plate on top, we normally laser cut that in a special aluminium. But in this particular case, we just, for time, we just had the milling machine, one of the milling machines, cut it out. And that's another rendering. These are all renderings thus far. So once we are satisfied that we are totally happy with the renderings, we then start taking the PC board and panel information, and we render that as well, and we make sure that it fits so that we can see that all these things fit properly and will be tightened. If you look at that, those boards do have inserts in it. You'll see a rendering with that in a minute. Just another view again. And so we start now to build this thing, but it's all done on the software, in our minds, so to say, before we go wasting money building the thing. And that's to prevent unnecessary work and duplicate. Much easier to change it here than to try and change it afterwards. Anyway, so we construct the whole thing with all the elements that are supposed to go into it. Panels that must be fitted, for example. And you'll see when, in the end, it resembles the renderings we did, resembles the actual part almost identically. You can think it's the same photo almost. Anyway, so carrying on, and now the total enclosure, because all this has to be enclosed eventually. And once we're happy and everybody's signed off, we say, right, we will start now cutting those frames in the aluminium or duralium. Okay, just throw in a couple of different views. There you can see the little pillars, the little standoffs on the right hand side. You can see the little standoffs over there. That's to accommodate the different boards, of course. Right, so now we get into the point where we start cutting. So, right, we've got to get the right aluminium, or duralium actually imported. And yeah, just that alone's got about 10 pages of things that have to happen. And it's got to be tested. And they've overdone the quality control. But anyway, I suppose it's space. So now we start the tedious job of cutting. And normally we'd cut that much quicker, but we don't. We want to make sure our bits are nice and sharp and not worn. So I'm just showing you different pictures of how we do it. We cut a whole lot in one go so that it's easy, and once you've set up, everything's identical. These are just different views of the milling taking place. And then once it's milled, we start assembling. Now this is a genuine thing. It's not a fictitious picture now, a rendering. It's the actual thing. And there you can see, came out nicely. And now we start building it. And as you can see, it's taking shape, different angles, just so that we can let the other guys know what's it looking like. And so we go, we build it up. And now these are actual boards that are in there. It's not a rendering any longer. You can see it. And so we continue. And not all the boards are necessarily populated, but we know what the heights of the components would be. And so it's taking shape. Now, there's more to it than just this, because we had to still figure out we had to use the ejection method that they suggest, or they demand, the guys who are going to launch this. And that's more or less getting to the end of the construction. Just another angle, different angles of it. Much of the same thing. And that, the last picture, is actually the built unit in front of the original design. So it gives you an idea. There's a hell of a lot of work that goes into this and planning. Now we are busy with another one. We started cutting on Friday. And the guys were going to work through the weekend cutting it, because we have to do this between other work. Let me just get to the main scene. There we go. So, yeah, a lot of activity. I had to sort of put the repeater thing aside, but I'll do that this week. It's almost done. And then just wire it up and take that to the site. And that's why I bought this little computer, is so that we can put Echolink and all the other things that we need to put on at the repeater site. We have a nice 250 meg line up there. So we've got good internet. We're right next to the internet repeat station, so it all helps, you see. So, yeah, another step. That's a different thing completely. So what happens is I get roped into these things, and I can never say no, but gee whiz, it does seriously interfere with the work. Or shall we say the work seriously interferes with the hobby, as per Ed's original cartoon up there. I hope the signal was okay there, Ed, for you to read. I didn't add up too much power. But there we go. So back to you, Mike, if you don't mind taking it. G0MJW from ZA6YI.
Alright, thank you, Guy. ZA6YI, G0MJW. Fascinating, building CubeSats. I remember them doing that at the university when I was there many years ago. Not just CubeSats, but small sats as well. And the amount of work involved and the amount of paperwork involved is enormous, really is. That's why they cost so much. But I guess once you get mass production going, then you've done all that design work. But each individual one has to be designed. And not just spacecraft, all sorts of things are designed like that these days. So CAD has got a lot to not answer for, but a lot to contribute. When I was at university, we were just talking about CAD, CAM and IT, and these were new terms, but they've certainly come into their own now. That box, by the way, I designed using a thing called FreeCAD, and I don't know if this will break the system when I try and open it up. It might do, because sometimes the graphic card gets unhappy. But let me just go over to the desktop. So this is FreeCAD, and this is the box that is being printed, yeah, that's what it looks like. And I did something similar to you. So actually I've got a 3D render of the thing that goes inside it, and I can then do things like turn off the lid so you can see how it fits inside. And if you want to look at, say, this side or this side, there's some holes in this side here. I'll turn the lid back on, but I'll turn off the walls, and then you can see how everything sits and what the clearances are and what have you. Now, there are no issues there, of course, but it's all very useful to be able to do that. And the other thing you can do is you can fly through things, and you can then see. So I don't know if you can see here, and this is not particularly well rendered, and you'll also see it's not quite at the right height. because it's going to be a bit lower than that in practice. But this is the USB connector, looking through the box as to where it is and whether you can connect to it or not. These are the two connectors. One is for a DIN socket and the other is for a 12 volt DC supply. So there's all sorts of wonderful things you can do with CAD. And that PCB, incidentally, that was what, let's turn off all the bits that are not the PCB. Oops. So that's just the PCB now, and I'll put it in the middle and make it bigger. KiCad did that for me. It did that 3D render, put all the places there and produced the file which I'm using. And I assume you're doing something very similar, but probably using a much more expensive package than KiCad. But there you go. Right, was there anything else? Let me just shut that down. Oop. And see if there are any questions. No questions. I've already mentioned the hairspray and the adhesive spray. That's called elephant's foot, I think, in the trade, and yeah, mine were doing that recently as well. It also depends. You've got to get the temperature right, and you've got to use the right material. Some PLA is not the same as other PLA. This PLA was very cheap, and it wasn't just the colour, because it doesn't stick to itself particularly well. It's called silk, and I think what makes it silky and shiny also has an issue, because the layers don't bind together well enough, really, and it's a little bit weak in that dimension. Yeah, having a glass bed means you can't bend it, so the Perusa bed that I've got and the other ones I've got which go on top of it are metal beds which are magnetically held on, and you can take them off and flex them, and the flexing allows you to separate the part. Otherwise you can pull the part to pieces trying to get it off the bed, which is not ideal. The other thing you can do is you can give it a thermal shock. So you let it cool down, and maybe you spray it with a can of air. It has to be a can of air, not just an air spray, a hairdryer. And that thermal shock can get it to separate from the bed as well. So there's all sorts of things you can do. The other thing you can do is you can mill it out of solid if you like, and that's what I would do if I had all those wonderful tools and machines that Gary has access to, but I don't. So I've only got a little 3020 Pro Max, and it's a little bit big for that. It would take probably all week to mill that out of a solid block of aluminium. Right, let's see. Martin, round to you. G8KOE, G0MJW.
Yeah, you caught me out there, Mike. I was busy doing other things. I was listening to you, and I did change the down to 2/3 instead of 3/4 to give a bit more, but I hadn't actually started the anyway. It got me started looking at those pictures of the flowers, etc., and not being able to. Yeah, Leon's photos. Yeah, they were good. Whilst I was digging through an old hard drive that I had, I found some pictures that I'd forgotten I'd taken. He says, going to the screen. But it wasn't really, I was going to say, but that's what opens up from the camera or pictures, and you can just move them around and save them accordingly. But they're obviously done with a proper camera. Well, not with a proper camera, but actually I think it might have been done with my phone. Think about it close up, relatively. But that's the first year I moved down to the West Country, and they seemed to have loads and loads of butterflies. I'd never seen so many. I've not seen them since. But I'm not a photographer at all. But just couldn't sort of resist. But as you can tell. But yeah, so you can reverse them or turn them around and just save it, a copy. So it's as easy as that there, Leon. But this is Windows 11, so it sounds silly, but I've forgotten. This is just a built-in whatever the viewer is in Windows 11. I think there was similar things in others. Yeah, CubeSat. That was really absolutely superb. Fascinating to watch. All the effort that goes into to something like that. Brilliant. And to you there, Phil. Yeah, your sound was intermittent, as though you had a dodgy mic connection that was suddenly making connection. I don't know if there's any. I don't know what mic you've got, whether it's got any volts that are going up the cable. It's that sort of type of sound to me. The level was going up and down, and your focus was terrible. But I can understand you've been playing. I did see various streams from you as I was half watching as I came in and out from the shack. And yeah, I'm not going to comment on 3D printers because I haven't got one. I've never used one. It fascinates me. I wish in some respects, but I think I'd get complaints from the length of time that some things take to print. So we won't be doing that. I think I'll be chatting someone up if I desperately needed it. I think that's probably about all I've got to comment on. Yeah, Benno, you're always doing things. That's what I meant to comment on. There's so many projects in that you're going. I don't know how you keep up with it all. I don't know how you find time to fit work in. Luckily, I don't have that anymore. Anyway, now I've forgotten. Oh, it's Ed, isn't it? That's right. Yeah, I don't know whether the pictures are any better for you there, Ed. So I was 3/4, but I've gone to 2/3. I can't push any more power. That might have helped, or it might not. But your pictures were absolutely superb. Really cracking pictures, really good. And don't forget to put the cartoon up for Leon, who missed it. But, right, I'll put a test card. Thanks everybody. Thanks here, Gary, for running the net. And I was pleased that a lot more joined in. I was getting concerned that there wasn't going to be very many, but it's been another good net. And I was trying to get to the bottom of the net, but I chickened out of not listing. So next week I'm going to see if I can get further down. 7-3's all. Catch you next week from G8KOE. And you there, Leon. Not Leon, Ed. I get myself confused now.
And that's for Leon, a little bit stretched this time. No, I really got your transmission perfect now, Martin. No issue at all. Also from Mike, also was a good reception here. I don't know, maybe the ugly and bad cloud went away. hopefully. All right, Leon, hope you could see. Uh, yeah, that that used to happen to me some time ago. No, nobody complained about it, but we used to browse a lot of amateur radio stuff using company assets. All right, guys. Well, fantastic. So many things to comment. So many interesting things. Very, very nice. Your you know, all the information about the CubeSat there, gear was fantastic to see. Very interesting, with all the details, drawings, and planning. Just not sure. I didn't read anything about the satellite particularly. I don't know, it's already planned to be launched, and if it's going to be a LEO or a MEO, or it's going to be ham radio or some other project. I really don't know, so maybe you can tell us later on, or maybe next week. But very, very interesting. Congratulations on that beautiful project. Same to Mike. Beautiful projects, nice 3D printing. I see your printer is working back there without any anything. It's you can hear it working and never stop. Mike, and that's very interesting projects there. And for Leon, beautiful photos, really nice photos. What is the camera that you use? Is that from your cell phone, or is that some other camera? And if it's from your mobile phone, which phone is that? Is that some, I don't know, Apple, Samsung, or what is? Because it has a very nice macro resolution. Very nice, Leon. For Benno, yeah, very interesting that you bring QR. By the way, Benno, yeah, it's here. Thank you very much. I apologize, I didn't let you know. I was sure that I told you, because I used to do that, but I don't know, that one skipped. And sorry to I didn't let you know, but it's real safe, just in one piece. Great work, by the way. Really nice work there, Benno. And I will not show this back, but you know, all the rest here is superb. Very nice work. Thank you very much. But QRP Labs, yeah, that's something that interests me very well. Let me. You mentioned something very interesting, because I'm looking for some solution to operate a low bands, low frequency remotely, because it's not possible to make good performance here on 160 or 80 meters. Where I live, so I need to set up a remote station, and I'm trying to look for a solution. And QRP Labs, this digital transceiver seems to be a good option, because it has good quality and it's economical. It has good performance. I have heard that it really has good performance, but I don't believe it has 160. It starts on 80. For the low bands, it has 80, 60, 40, 30, and 20. Sorry about the dog QRM. So I don't think it's gonna be able to do 160. Unfortunately, that is what is preventing me to go ahead with QRP Labs. But anyways, should be an option to consider. Yeah. So let me know if you have tested it on 160, or if it worked already. It's strange, my resolution, it's not so good for showing this page. But anyways, And for Phil, yeah, I would mention, but I believe Martin already told you about the issue with your audio. It seems some connection issue because it was low, and sometimes it was in normal level, then it becomes low again, and at the end of your transmission, the level was normal. And yeah, your image was a little bit blurred, seems out of focus, but other than that was perfect. So that's, I believe that's it, guys. I appreciate for the QSO with everybody. Nice to see you. Hope to see you again next weekend, next Sunday. And I'm just trying to find my. It's really I don't know, this OBS stuff, to find things is not easy. OBS is not easy. Well, forget about it. I will not waste more time. So back to you, Leon. Zulu Sierra 6, not 6, but 1. Zulu Sierra 1, Mike. Please go ahead. This is Papa Yankee 2, Radio November. Over to you.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Papa Yellow 2, Radio November, ZS1, Mike. Returning. Yes, I had to switch on the light and pull the blind there because the sun was coming in again, and then you get this line over me like last time, and the AGC on the camera shuts down and I go dark and all sorts of things like that. So I've skylight on this side, and on this side I have artificial light, so they're more or less balanced. Anyway, okay, all very interesting. Yes, Phil, I agree with him. Your audio, at first it sounded like you've got an expander on. When you speak softly, it stays soft, and when you go above a certain threshold, it goes very loud, and so on. And yeah, your focus is sticking. You were beautifully sharp when you started, and then you moved forward and it tracked you, the focusing, and then you moved back and it didn't come back. And yeah, at times it came loose and tried to focus again, but yeah, you have a bit of a sticky focus there, but nothing serious. Okay, Gary, very interesting on that CubeSat thing. I wonder whose project it is. Is it some university or something? Maybe you mentioned and I've missed it. You're doing all the mechanical stuff there. But yeah, what is the thing going to do? I can see the 4 lithium ion cells there. So it's obviously running on 12 volts. So yeah, very interesting. And it seems like it's all microwave frequencies because there's no antennas sticking out. It's just the little patch antennas there on the side. But very interesting. Mike, yes, I've also heard all sorts of stories of what one can use to make the stuff stick to the bed. I don't want to spray anything onto my bed because then you battle to get it off again. So what I finally found, I built myself one of these vinyl cutting machines, you know, for cutting stickers and stuff or whatever. And that material, that sticky vinyl, I just cut a sheet as big as my object's going to be, stick that onto the bed, and boy oh boy, that stuff sticks. So I don't have any problems with curling up bases and things anymore. And you can use it a couple of times, and then when there's too many marks on it from other things that you've printed, you just peel it off and there's no residue on the glass bed. I've seen funny beds, dimpled glass beds and matte glass beds and all sorts of things, but yeah, I'm quite happy with mine. I've sorted my problem. So yeah, that's good. And yeah, nice the 3D thing is there of the keycad and assembling the whole thing in the box and so on. Yeah, I'm not on that level, definitely not. I check, measure, file, grind, drill, and do everything manually, and yeah, it works in the end. But yes, of course, you can make mistakes, whereas the way you're doing it, no, you don't make any mistakes. Okay, right, Martin. Okay, you didn't take a very long over, but yeah. Oh, you see what camera did I use? No, it's a cell phone. It's just my cell phone. It's a very old one. It's a Samsung Note 4. It's a Note 4. It's only got one camera. This is long before they started with multi-cameras. And I've got lots of optics around. I've always, since childhood, been playing with lenses and stuff, and I always have lots of old lenses and so on. And yeah, that one, the first one I tried yesterday was about 25 diopters. This one is a little bit more. It's maybe 30 or 35 diopters. If you go more than that, it gets impossible. You have to get so close. Even with that, you have to get so close. It's difficult to get light on the subject because the phone is shading the whole business. So it's not so easy. Yeah, if you use artificial light, I guess it'll be okay. So that's what I'm using. It's just a single element. That's a plano convex. Yesterday I used a biconvex one. But this one is okay. But I have quality ones that I can try. But yeah, anyway, it was just an experiment. Seeing that now it's springtime, end of winter, and there's lots of little tiny flowers and things, you know, from all the weeds that's now popping up in the garden. So I thought I'll do something. Okay, Ed, yeah, okay, yeah, you asked about the lens. Sorry, it wasn't Martin. You asked about the lens. And yeah, okay, Benno's 3D bed problem, yeah, as I say, there's lots of remedies for that. It's, yeah, normally a big flat panel. You've got to have a good adhesion, or else it'll curl on the corners. It starts. And yeah, if you run the bed a bit hotter, it also helps. But anyway. Okay, Phil, we've given him all that, his feedback. Yeah, well, that's about it then from me as well. I hope Louis, ek hoop jy het geluister daarso of na die streaming gegaan en gekyk wat ons maak, sodat ons jou appetite kan bietjie optune daarso. So that's it from me. And I give it back to Benno. PA3FBX for the group from ZS1 Mike saying cheerio 73s, but I'll be listening. Take it, Benno.
Yeah, fine signal. Do I have audio? Yeah, I have signal. Let's switch off my audio. Yes. Okay. Well, lots and other thoughts about fixing my my bed problem. This is another try I had, which is one segment of a multicolor 7-segment display, which was an idea, and I wanted to print one of those, but as you see, it's completely not flat. It came off and then obviously damaged the top side. So now I have a large, by the way, my bed is glass, already improved Ender glass, and so I know raising the temperature should solve a little bit. I don't have a cabinet around it, so yes, temperature is an issue, but it's not really cold in the room when I was trying it. And well, probably I'm going to clean it with isopropyl alcohol and give it another try, because I was cleaning it, and I think it was clean, but I know obviously clean and clean are two issues if you work with this kind of stuff. But the photo spray is another idea, and maybe I even have a bottle somewhere lying around of that. Or I use the hairspray from my girlfriend. But well, we'll find a solution, and a few other ideas. And I also, by the way, maybe I also have a thick roll of vinyl. Yeah, here it is. This is from my one of my old jobs. So this is nice format, and it's vinyl. So I could put that put that on the glass and see if it sticks on that. That's another idea, Mike, of Leon. So I think I will follow him and start playing again with it this or next week. And yes, time is an issue, but like I said, I was off the air, off the net for at least at least 4 or 5 weeks, Martin, and that is the reason why I have so many projects going on. And by the way, Ed, that board, yes, sorry for that. That was the first. Where are my boards? That was the first revision. In the meantime, I'm on to the second revision, and there's one with the corrected backside. So this is ready to go, and so I have still a few, I think 10 pieces or so to make, and then I stop really the project, and I have built by that time 40 pieces of those. So I have still a few lying around if people like to have one. Apparently I'm succeeded in sending it all the way to Brazil. That works, and not too much money, I would add. I think Brazil was €8 or something, which is great for that distance. It's only like 40 grams, so it's a mail package, not a real box, and that's probably the reason why it's quite cheap to send them abroad. Well, anyway. Cheers, guys. See you next time. Yeah, well, I'm not sure. Brazil, UK is. I always find it very expensive if the BATC is sending stuff to me. I mean, that cheap £3 board of the PTT. It's like £15 before I get it. It's ridiculous. And I think that's due to all kind of tax reasons and things like that. But anyway, have a nice weekend for the remaining part of it, and see you all maybe next week. In 2 weeks I'm not here, but I will be using. I will be following on the net occasionally, if possible. See you next time from Papa Alpha 3 Foxtrot Bravo X-ray, and going off and clear. Passing it on to PIT. Let's see if he is in focus now. Hi. from Papa Alpha 3, Fox Bravo X-ray.
But he was listening. So anyway, with that, yeah, I just got one question. Sandor, DM4 Delta Sierra, we were chatting last night, and he asked if there's much work being done on the AV1 codec. Apparently it's much better than the H.265. I have heard similar reports, although if you change to an 8 PSK, I don't know if it's so much different, and it still takes time. But I don't know if there's anyone on frequency that can give us more info, and who is playing around with AV1. And Sandor would like to get in touch with some of the guys and start doing some R&D on that. So maybe someone in the group knows a little bit more about that. All right, with that, I'm going to close the net. We had 58 viewers, concurrent at the moment, 8 streamers, 8 viewers. And we also want to say hi to G8RDT. Indeed, I'm sure things can even be better on YouTube. I probably can up the resolution, not a problem. But so far, it's not too bad. I've had quite good reports on that. Bit slow, though. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say 7-3 to everybody. I'll open up the net for normal use, and it can run down. And Leon, yeah, I'll off air, I'll tell you more about the CubeSat, but it's partly to do with AMSAT SA. The next one that we're busy on now is a newer one, but I'll give you a ring sometime. We can fill you in on all the details. Right, with that, Mike, if you'd like to take it and then just run down the net, I'll close the net now. Thank you to everybody that came up on frequency today. It's been a nice net indeed, and a lot of interest all over again. So, M0 MJW from ZS6YI, bidding everyone happy week. See you guys next week. All been good.
Okay, thank you, Guy. I wasn't expecting it to come back, but just saying that the pictures from Leon were really good, and interesting how you took those. I've tried to do various similar things actually, and you can get very nice results, but whatever you're taking a picture of, getting it to sit still long enough to actually get into position in focus and take the picture, that's always the challenge. Anyway, 7-3 everyone, and have a good week. G0MJW.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting another round, but it didn't catch me up quite as much this time. Yeah, I'm streaming as well on the BATC under G8 KOE, and it says there were 5 viewers there. There's only one, of course, Barry G4 ZCN is watching around my little stream. But all good. 7-3 to all, and another good net. No, I think I've said everything I can think of. But yeah, your little board there, Benno, very good, and wish you luck with the 3D printer. I wait for if you're on next week to find out how you got on, which method worked for you. That'd be interesting. 7-3's all. Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Comes after me. Why do I have problems there, And please, you got pictures. If yeah, as I said, I only got dropped down to 2 over 3. Anyway, 7 trees from G8 Carey.